Today, we need to talk about Malachi Nelson, the number 4 player in the class of 2023, number 2 quarterback, and we need to talk about him because since the last time we've spoke, we now have an understanding of when he will commit and a greater understanding of where he will commit, and we have got to talk about it all. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that Malachi Nelson goes to Oklahoma with the astronomical amount of crystal ball predictions that have been inserted in the Sooners' favor? And let me know what you're thinking there. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification because I do constant college football content and you don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoy that content, be sure to like and comment down below because those interactions are huge for content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's talk Malachi Nelson. And the number 4 player overall in the class of 2023 is one of the most sought after recruits in the nation. Look, anytime you're competing with Arch Manning for the number 1 quarterback in the nation, and it's important to note that both of them are rated on 24/7 Sports as a .9988, so they both are exactly tied on their rating. These two quarterbacks are incredibly special, and Malachi Nelson is a very sought-after individual. And we talked about the last time when we talked about Malachi Nelson, how he was thinking about taking some visits over the summer and where he stood in his process. And even at that time, it seemed all likely that OU was the clear leader in this battle. And now that path is even clearer than it ever was before because the Oklahoma Sooners have received multiple crystal ball predictions from you name it, Wilt Fong, all the guys inserting that Malachi Nelson looks to be a lock to the Oklahoma Sooners, and what a land that would be for Lincoln Riley and staff moving forward into 2023. The interesting thing is we now know that he looks to commit July 18th, which is in line with what I said last video. I didn't give a date last video, but I did say that it looked to be a commitment during the summer because he wants to commit earlier rather than later so that he can get acclimated to both the coaching staff, what the coaching staff is looking for him as far as scheme, and also recruit for his class. If you're an OU fan and he does end up going there, hearing that he wants to recruit for his class and he's that interested already has got to be music to your ears, and that's another big factor of why this kid is so sought after. Not only the talent, but he is all in on trying to get whatever class he's a part of the best. Now, the last time we talked about Malachi Nelson, there were a few other players involved outside of OU, and I quickly want to run through them because for the most part, the same players are involved, but I want to talk about why I don't know how involved they are anymore. And first and foremost is USC, the school that many thought would ultimately land Malachi Nelson's commitment. The problem with USC came when USC was pitching to Nelson that he was their primary guy. He was the only guy they were going after, and then they ended up offering another quarterback. Now, understand from USC's point of view, they have been burned in the last few years by talented quarterbacks. JT Daniels ended up leaving, and then Bryce Young being committed to USC forever and then flipping. They didn't want to be in a situation where they put all their eggs in one basket. And he even said USC came forth and told him that they were after somebody else, but it felt like there was a breach of trust. So I shouldn't say USC lied to him that they didn't. It's just that they didn't stick to what they had originally told him that he was going to be the guy for that class. So ever since that happened, the communication and the seriousness of the communication has sort of dwindled from USC. He still has a great relationship with multiple members of the staff of USC and has talked about having constant communication, but that's why I think USC really tapered off. And in fact, if we had to guess which institution would be the biggest threat to OU, even the last time we talked, we said it would be Clemson. Because when he talked about taking some visits, he said he wanted to get to Clemson so that he could camp there, so that he could receive an offer. That's something we have to watch out for, or at the time we had to watch out for. Because as it turns out now, we don't even know whether that Clemson visit is going to happen. He talked recently saying he might not even go to Clemson on a visit, and if he doesn't go to Clemson on a visit, you can pretty much eliminate the Tigers from this process because he wants to camp there so that he can earn an offer. Malachi Nelson is very high on the Clemson Tigers, even though he's never gotten an offer. He's been able to take an unofficial visit there, loved the campus, is very high on a lot of what Clemson is doing, but he has got to camp there in order to get that offer. And he's talked about that's originally why he wanted to go in June, camp, show them how talented he is, get that offer, and be good to go. If he doesn't go in June, that whole process is off the table, and he can like Clemson, but he doesn't have that offer, which just bodes even better for OU. Not going to Clemson also eliminates another team from contention, but this team, we've been very forthright that I didn't believe that this team was very much in contention. Just a kind of curiosity thing for Malachi Nelson, which is completely understandable, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide, because if you will remember the last time we talked about Malachi Nelson maybe taking some visits, he talked about maybe going to visit Tuscaloosa on the same trip he went to Clemson. He wanted to go from Clemson, camp there, after he went there, go to Tuscaloosa, spend some time in Titletown, and then have that kind of be a very big summer trip. If he ultimately doesn't go to Clemson, it doesn't look like he's going to go to Alabama. And I always didn't think that Alabama had a genuine chance at landing Malachi Nelson. I think he's interested in Alabama the same way a lot of your top recruits are interested in Alabama. Alabama's interested in him because he is unbelievably talented. And look, if we're talking about the modern era of ranking, he would be the best quarterback the Sooners have ever pulled in the modern era of ranking. Yes, ranked higher than both Spencer Rattler and ranked higher than Caleb Williams. Malachi Nelson sits at a 9.988. He is a top 10 quarterback of the modern era. And that's really the last 20 years since rankings have kind of been revamped since the year 2000. Malachi Nelson is a top 20 quarterback. That's how talented he is. So absolutely the Alabama Crimson Tide are interested in him. The problem with Alabama and Malachi Nelson is I think they have a good relationship. I think they get along well. And as you can see, my light's not getting along with me, so we'll wrap this up. The problem with Malachi Nelson as it relates to Alabama is pursuing Arch Manning very publicly, and that pursuit is going decently well. I'm not saying Bama's going to land him, but the Mannings are at least interested in the pitch and have pointed out Alabama is one of the institutions that they feel like they not only talk to the most, but have the most comfort with, and that's something we have to watch out for. I don't know how likely it is, given that Bama landed a 5-star in this class, for them to double up. That doesn't seem likely, but that right there, along with him not taking the trip to Clemson, if that doesn't happen, he doesn't take the trip to Alabama, and they're automatically eliminated from contention. But even if he was to take the trip to Alabama, I still think that it is an incredible long shot, like a almost statistical impossibility that he lands at Alabama because he didn't want to go to USC because he wanted to be their primary guy. It's known that Arch is Bama's primary guy. They're both their primary guy, but I think Bama has been able to get a little bit further with Arch Manning than they felt that they were able to get with Malachi Nelson, because OU and Lincoln Riley have done a phenomenal job with Malachi Nelson throughout this entire process. I think Alabama pretty much identified that when they were splitting their pitch at both of them and have really zeroed in on Arch Manning because of that. Ultimately, I think Malachi Nelson is a lock to OU, and this isn't something new. You guys have heard me say this for a while. I'm interested to see what y'all think, because Malachi Nelson has been very intriguing when we're talking about how comfortable he is with Lincoln Riley. They talk all the time. He says they can talk about anything even outside of football, but they talk about football for hours. And this kid right here, this kid, Malachi Nelson, is a special quarterback, ranking inside the top 10 signal callers of the modern era of recruiting. That's high praise, and this could be a dangerous relationship when you pair him with Lincoln Riley. Can't wait to see what y'all are thinking. We know what Lincoln Riley does with quarterbacks. They're incredibly talented quarterbacks. He's able to get in there and then take them to a different level. I can't wait to see what y'all are thinking. Let me know what you think of Malachi Nelson. That's it. See ya.